everybody, I'm Lorii Abela, your soulmate expert and Asian matchmaker. Welcome to tonight's episode of Matchmaker Secrets, where we talk about love, dating, and relationships, and of course, matchmaking. So today, I would like to talk about trauma in relation to relationships, because obviously it's a very important topic to be talked about, because sometimes you'll never know who you're going to be in a relationship with and what is their background, and that can really affect your relationship. Let me tell you first, based on the dictionary, so what is trauma? So trauma is a deeply distressing or disturbing experience that can have long-lasting effects on individuals' mental and emotional health. So understanding this trauma affects how it affects your relationship can help you foster your connections and providing support. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to exclude somebody who can have a great potential for a partner by just saying like, oh my God, he's seeing a psychologist. But obviously, like, there are ways in order to get around that. For those of you who have been watching me for a while, you already know that I am also a clinical hypnotherapist and LLP practitioner. So that helps, but of course, like, it's different as compared to, I should say, serious condition, which has been said that it is something which is like medical condition specifically. So if it's something like, okay, I'm having anxiousness about relationship, or having anxiousness, like, I can help you with that. But if you need to work with a psychologist, like, I will direct you with that as well, because like I'll tell you right away, I'm not going to be able to help you with your mental disorder specifically. Obviously, when we are talking about trauma, there are many kinds. So we have different trauma, like childhood trauma, adult trauma, complex trauma. And let me tell you about what is childhood trauma. So childhood trauma can actually be something which can be related to abuse, neglect, loss of parent or caregiver, exposure to domestic violence. So it's interesting because like we don't know what is their background. The trauma can happen between 0 to 7 years old, and that's very disappointing as far as like, the trigger which has been developed to this person. And that's really sad, because like when you think about it, like sometimes people don't even know that they have some trauma within themselves. I remember like, meeting some people who have been having difficulty in their relationships because like they had trauma when they have realized that their parents are having a separation or a divorce at an early age. Sometimes you will say like, oh my God, she is like 0 to 7, 0 or 5 years old, something like that. And you will say like, oh, he doesn't know what's going on. But you'll never know what's the psyche going on with the child, because like, they have the feelings of what's the energy going around the whole family. So it will also give an impact on their lives. And there are some people, because like parents are apparently so busy nowadays, and there's also the idea of being neglected. So you'll never know, maybe they also have, the parents also have abuse of drugs or abuse of anything, which will stop the person from receiving the love and care that they need. Or sometimes, you'll never know, the parents are into gambling. So gambling can take a lot of time off from children as well. And I know that you have probably seen some news wherein like children have been neglected by parents, and then sometimes they have been put into their home and locked inside a cabinet or something. Like, I've heard something like that. But obviously you're not gonna be marrying somebody who's like that, but the chances are you'll never know, because like, if they don't resolve their past issues, you'll never know. And then there's also such thing as adult trauma. So it can be domestic violence, sexual assault, combat or war experiences, serious accidents or natural disasters. So when you think about it, like domestic violence is obvious with somebody who has been in a relationship before. Sometimes it's not just physical abuse, but it can also be verbal abuse. One time I come across a guy who's looking for somebody, but he is not finding somebody for his match because like he has been traumatized by somebody who has been verbally abusing. And this is a guy, and come to think about it, he was a soccer player, and I was thinking like, oh my God, even tall, big guys can actually be affected by such kind of an abuse. And obviously it's something which is not healthy in any relationship moving forward, as I was saying, unless it's being taken care of. And so there are also such things as complex trauma. It's the repeated exposure to a traumatic event. Traumatic events are often within a personal relationship. So you could actually see that as well in people who have probably seen their parents always arguing all the time, and then like, you know, it ran all over in their life till their adult life, or somebody who has, you know, it's not just women who are affected. Sometimes it's the men who are also affected by, you know, being traumatized, as I was saying earlier. So it can work both ways. So it can affect a child, which is like, you know, a woman or a man per se. So or a child who is a boy or a girl. So it can affect anybody. So there's no escape in this trauma because, like, you know, it can actually affect anybody. So you just have to have a communication with the person that you are having a relationship with and ask them specifically. We have that in a matchmaker's form as well right nowadays. Like we ask, are you seeing a psychologist? Because like sometimes we want them to be actually clear of all those wounds that they've had in order to make sure that, you know, they're ready for a relationship. Otherwise, it's gonna be triggered and continue on the relationship that they're gonna have in the future. And so it also affects their attachment style. So, you know, you can have insecure attachment patterns, as like, you know, having anxiousness or avoidant attachment, or, you know, whatever it is, it can be developed. And then of course, like individual with past trauma can either be too clingy to their parents, or they are actually doing that as well to their partners, and they don't want to be distancing themselves to the other partner because they are trying to avoid potential hurt. So be cautious about that, you know, be aware of those things, because sometimes the person who has a trauma sometimes are trying to avoid the conversation about that. So it's only up to you who's going to be able to figure it out. So just be aware, and you know that sometimes it can get much more complicated if it's not taken care of. And so obviously there's also communication barriers. So some of them may have trouble expressing themselves. Like I'm sure you have seen some people who have had a relationship with somebody who has been in a war, and so sometimes they have some trigger, like, okay, they don't want to talk about anything because like they're associating something, maybe a loud noise, for something which is something that they have seen in the war. So things like that. And so you also have the fear of rejection, and it can also lead to conflict, and it can cause a person to be passive aggressive. And of course, they can also have withdrawal. So they will stop, you know, communicating. So you don't want that to be happening, because in any relationship, communication is very important. And so we also have the emotional regulation. So you have the difficulty in managing emotions and leading to mood swings, anger, or emotional numbness. So handling emotions can actually be very difficult if it's something that is constantly happening. Like they will probably snap regularly, and it can be annoying, because if you know you cannot have peace if there's always somebody who's having a bad mood. and they can be overacting to minor issues. So they can be actually probably be throwing things away, like, to you, or like, have something that they can actually, like, punch, and then they punch that particular object or something. So you just want to be avoiding such circumstances. If you notice something, say something. That's what they usually say. And so, and believe it or not, it can also affect your intimacy issues. So physical and emotional intimacy can be challenging, and it can be resulting to fear in vulnerability. So this is usually happening when you have had sexual abuse. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if you have met somebody who has been sexually abused, they cannot be able to recover from that. So as I was saying, like, just have to keep on following up different ways in order to clear up all those issues, and then work with a professional as far as having that taken care of. And so, sad to say, they can also have sexual dysfunction. And I think, like, that's one of the motivators in having a relationship, because, like, that's one of the physical needs of anybody. So you don't want that to be affected either. So another thing is the issue about self-esteem and self-worth. So it's going to be lowering down, specifically if there's something related to sexual abuse again, because, like, they will believe that, okay, they're not deserving or they're not worth it. So it's sad because, like, some people were not able to get over with that, but as I was saying, have to continuously have a conversation and make things happen. Because, like, if you are really sure that the person that you have met is somebody that you love and looking forward to more years to come as a partner forever, then, like, you have to resolve those issues, because, like, that will be a constant issue. And then, of course, like, some people have actually some self-sabotaging behaviors, and that's not good either, because, like, they will always say, like, I'm not good enough, I am not worthy enough, I am probably even not beautiful enough, or probably say, like, I'm not rich enough. Even though, like, they're making a lot of money, they will say, like, I have to work more. And so the psychology and the mental aspect is affected. So it doesn't necessarily mean it only affects your romantic relationship. It also affects your family relationship. And so it will actually be bothersome for everybody, because, like, it can result to conflicts, misunderstandings, and it can cause breakups in any relationship. I have seen some people who have actually met a lot of people who have been attracting people who have mental challenges, because they have always been sabotaging themselves, and sometimes they attract the same kind of person. And so I have no idea, like, there's some reason behind it, but if you can stop attracting the same kind of person, because, like, sometimes you'll never know, maybe you have your own emotional and mental challenges that you have to recover from. That's the reason why you actually meeting the same kind of person all the time, and you also probably need help. And so when you are in a family relationship, it can affect the relationship between, like, you and the person who's your partner, or, like, once you have a child, like, you can actually have that carried over to your child, or if you have a child from previous marriage, that will be dragging along as well. And so you have to actually be able to figure out, like, how can you have boundaries established so this cannot be happening. So in order to move forward, so you have to go to a therapy and counseling. So there are a lot of different therapies which you can take advantage of. So we have, like, behavior therapy, eye movement, and EMDR, and then, like, You can even go to couples therapy. I know that, there are some people who take therapy before even getting married, but if that doesn't suffice, because the person has not healed himself, then that's going to be something that you should be able to handle before actually going to a couples therapy. Because apparently if you go to the couples therapy without the person being able to resolve his or her personal issue, then you're just gonna be having an unsuccessful couples therapy. And so you have to also build trust and communication. So developing an open and honest communication is very important practice, so that you can have a long-lasting relationship. And maybe you can also practice mindfulness or meditation and even self-reflection. And you have to have, healthy coping skills and mechanisms. So if you can remember, like back in 2020, we all had challenges, mentally, as far as like taking care of our mental health because of the COVID. But, that was just one indicator, probably of couples who have gotten separated because of the COVID. So there's no excuse or escape. It can happen to anybody. It can happen. I even met one matchmaker who actually had a separation as far as the relationship is concerned because of the situation of being in the same house together for many hours during the pandemic. Actually, it's 24 hours because everybody was just staying at home. And I think the most important part is having a support system. So it's not just you who's going to handle all of your problems as far as this is concerned. You should be able to have the support system of your family, support system of your therapist, and whoever you can count on. Because especially your friends, I would imagine, because they have known you through and through the years, and then they will be able to understand what's going on. So in summary, you have to realize that effects of trauma can actually affect your relationship, and you don't want to be going in that route, like being in a relationship with somebody who actually have something which is unresolved. So encourage the person to be able to resolve the issue, and be able to trust in the person that if his intention or her intention is actually get healed. So I hope that it got some clarity to all of you, because obviously we want to make sure that you have a healthy relationship. I'm all for a healthy relationship, and I want you to be able to distinguish when should you actually ask for help, or your partner is somebody you can actually encourage to go and ask for help. Help is available, you just have to take some action, because if you don't take action, the effects of that will be the rest of your life if you decide to be with this person forever. And so you want to be able to move forward, be excited about the relationship, and have a good life. I remember not too long ago, there was a couple who approached me, and then they were saying they were having issues. And so I talked to the couple because they want to have couples therapy. And then the thing is that they were actually owners of different properties. So they're managing Airbnbs. And so there was a time that they were actually deciding, okay, they have to separate the properties, because they have a lot, and then they're having these challenges in their relationship. And then soon enough, I realized that both of them, the man and the woman, had a problem with their childhood. And so there was no respect to the father of the man, to his father, and it was reflected in the relationship. And this guy who approached me, actually have some self-worth issue, and then he was thinking okay, he's not worthy of love. And so they didn't speak for a while, and then decided, okay, they want to have a therapy. But later on they decided, okay, they don't want to pursue. And so soon enough, like later, I realized, okay, didn't work out for them, trying to resolve their issues. I cannot convince if the person or the couple doesn't want to move forward. And so like they weren't able to resolve their issues, and then like apparently they just separated. And so the guy actually has also addiction problems. He is an alcoholic. So you cannot change a person who's alcoholic. So it's up to them to change themselves. If you happen to meet somebody who's an alcoholic, just realize that it's up to them. You cannot change a person. You cannot just say like, okay, I'm the only woman who can change this person. He loves me so much. It's not gonna happen. It has to be coming from the person. The initiative has to come personally from the person. If the person is not willing to make things happen, then like being a woman or being a guy who's married to an alcoholic or having a relationship with an alcoholic, that's going to be a forever issue if it's not being taken care of. So imagine all the other addictions as well. Like if you have somebody who's a gambler is much more dangerous, because like it affects different aspects of your life as well. Like it's not just the physical and the mental, but also the emotional aspect, and as well as the spiritual aspect, because like they realize, okay, I am being sold by the idea that, okay, maybe the money is the God that they probably look up to. So that's dangerous if you will consider that. And so I'll leave it at that. I just want everybody to be happy and make sure that you are always being taken care of, as far as like looking for somebody who's a potential partner for you. Be cautious, and then like make sure that you realize there's help out there. And if you are in a relationship, or if you are single and you want to be invited over here, just give me a holler. I want to be able to have you here in the studio, to be here with me, where we talk about love, dating, and relationships, of course. And if you're a professional in love, dating, and relationship, we want to also have you over here, so you can share some nuggets that you can actually share with the people who are who are watching us, so that we can actually have support to the community at large. Not only here in Chicago, obviously, like, we are streamed worldwide. So thank you so much, and I appreciate it. So I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.